Hey, let me save you from making a very expensive mistake. If you're relocating to Charleston and you think 400,000, 500,000, or a $700,000 budget is going to get you something everywhere in this city, we need to talk right now. Because where you buy matters just as much as how much you spend. And today I'm breaking it all down. No fluff, no filters, just straight Noah Chaser advice about what your money actually buys here in the Holy City. Hey y'all, I'm Shakima Chatman, your Charleston and Summerville relocation specialist. And yes, if you call me, I actually answer my phone. If you're thinking about making the move to Charleston, South Carolina, and you want the real, honest information from someone who is out in these real estate streets every single day, you are in the right place. Go ahead and bookmark this video because you're going to want to come back. All right, here's what we're covering today. I'm going to walk you through 3 different budget tiers, $400,000, $500,000, and $700,000, and show you exactly what each one gets you in the greater Charleston area. We're talking real homes, realistic expectations, specific neighborhoods, and the trade-offs you'll face when it comes to location versus size versus amenities. And because I want you to go into this with your eyes wide open, we're also going to touch on taxes and insurance, because these costs will absolutely affect what you can afford here. So if you're ready, let's get into it. Let's start with $400,000. Now, I want you to hear me clearly. $400K in Charleston is not a starter budget. That is a real buying budget, but where you spend it is everything. At $400,000 in 2026, here's what you're looking at depending on where you search. In Summerville, specifically in master plan communities like Cane Bay Plantation, Summers Corner, Nexton, and yes, even parts of Carnes Crossroads, $400K can get you into newer construction. We're talking 3 to 4 bedrooms, 2 to 2.5 baths, somewhere between 1,600 and 2,200 square feet, with a 2-car garage, modern finishes, and access to amenities. Pools, walking trails, community events, and in many of these areas, you're zoned for Dorchester District 2 schools, which relocation buyers ask about all the time. That's a solid home. But let's clarify Carnes for just a second. At this price point in Carnes Crossroads, you're most likely looking at the 55 plus section called Horizons. And Horizons comes with additional fees, roughly $1,500 annually for HOA and about $225 monthly in regime fees. That's about $350 to $400 a month in community costs before taxes and insurance. Some buyers love the lifestyle and amenities that come with it, but that absolutely affects your monthly payment. So if you're under 55 or simply trying to maximize square footage for your dollar, Cane Bay, Summers Corner, and Nexton often give you more house at that price. Now, if you want to stay closer to the city, say Park Circle, $400K gives you a charming 2-bedroom bungalow or craftsman style house, but it's most likely under 1,000 square feet. You're going to get character, you're going to get walkability, you're going to get breweries, restaurants, and proximity to the peninsula without peninsula prices. But the trade-off, less square footage, older construction, possibly some updates needed, and inventory at this price point is limited. Now, at this price point in Mount Pleasant or downtown Charleston, baby, in Mount Pleasant, you're looking at condos, townhouses, or a serious compromise on size. And in downtown Charleston, you can forget about a single family home at $400K. You're firmly in condo territory. Bottom line, for $400K, if your priority is space, newer construction, and amenities, Summerville is where your dollar stretches the furthest. If your priority is location and lifestyle, you are trading square footage to get it. That's just how this market works. Now let's step it up to $400,000. This is where things start to shift. At 500K in the Charleston metro area, your map opens up. You have options, but you still need strategy. In Summerville, especially in communities like Cane Bay, Summers Corner, Nexton, and Carnes Crossroads, 500K moves you up the ladder. Now you're talking 4 to 5 bedrooms, often 2,300 to 3,000 square feet, larger lots in some sections, screen porches, more upgraded kitchens and finishes. You're no longer entry level in these neighborhoods. You're comfortably positioned. And here's where Carnes shifts. At 500K in Carnes Crossroads, you're no longer limited to horizons. You can move into non age restricted sections of the community. Still beautifully designed, still walkable, still amenity rich, but without the additional regime structure of the 55 plus section. That's an important distinction. Now, at 500K, you also start entering Charleston County conversations in a meaningful way. Let's talk West Ashley. 500K in West Ashley can get you into established neighborhoods with mature trees, larger lots than you'll find in newer builds, and proximity to downtown, often 15 to 22 minutes, depending on traffic. You're typically looking at 3 to 4 bedrooms, around 1,800 to 2,400 square feet, homes built in the 80s, 90s, or early 2000s, possibly updated, possibly needing cosmetic updates. You are buying location and established community feel. Now let's talk James Island. At 500K on James Island, you're in the conversation. You may not be at the beachfront, you may not be at the waterfront, but you can find 3 bedroom homes with yard space, island lifestyle, and easy access to downtown and Folly Beach. Inventory can move quickly here when priced right. Now let's address Mount Pleasant at 500K. Baby, it's tight. At this number, you're typically looking at condominiums, townhomes, smaller attached properties, or older homes needing updates. 500K does not stretch far in Mount Pleasant, but it can get you into the zip code if you're flexible. So here's the bottom line at 500K. If you want newer construction and space, Summerville delivers. If you want Charleston County and proximity to downtown or beaches, you can get it, but you're trading square footage. It's about priorities, location, size, lifestyle. Pick your two. Real quick, if this is the kind of straight talk real estate content you need as you're planning your move, hit that like button right now and subscribe so you don't miss anything. I drop new videos every week all about living in and relocating to the Charleston area. Hit that bell so you're the first to know. Okay, back at it, because we've got to talk about that 700K budget. Now let's talk about $700,000. This is where the conversation shifts again. At 700K in the Charleston Metro, you are no longer entry level in most neighborhoods. You are playing in a stronger tier, but Charleston is still Charleston. You still have trade offs. Let's start with Summerville. In communities like Nexton, Cane Bay, Summers Corner, and Carnes Crossroads, 700K gets you into the upper end of what those neighborhoods have to offer. Now we're talking 2,800 to 3,500 plus square feet, 4 to 5 bedrooms, dedicated office space, bonus rooms, larger lots in certain sections, higher end finishes, possibly even golf course or pond views depending on placement. You're not compromising much at this tier in Summerville. You're getting space and lifestyle. Now let's shift into Charleston County. At 700K, West Ashley becomes very real and comfortable. You can find established homes in mature neighborhoods, often 2,200 to 3,000 square feet, sometimes renovated, sometimes with character you won't find in new construction. Larger lots, big trees, that Charleston feel. You're 15 minutes from downtown, that proximity starts to matter at this price point. Now let's talk Mount Pleasant. 700K in Mount Pleasant is finally a serious single family home conversation. You're not buying waterfront, let's be clear. You're looking at homes in the northern IOP corridor and a little further from downtown. But you are getting into established neighborhoods like Dunes West, Tupelo Plantation, and Park West. At this tier, you're typically looking at older homes, 2,300 to 3,200 square feet, four bedrooms in many cases, community amenities, access to top rated high schools, and here's the key at 700K. You're no longer squeezed into condos or townhomes in Mount Pleasant. You're in the single family conversation, but you're still paying for the zip code. Now, what about James Island? 700K on James Island can get you a strong single family home with yard space and island proximity. But you're close to Folly Beach and you're close to downtown. But inventory moves fast when priced correctly. And downtown Charleston, ooh, child. At 700K downtown, you're usually looking at condominiums, renovated townhomes, smaller historic single family homes. You're not buying a grand historic estate at this price. You're buying location, walkability, and lifestyle. So here's the bottom line at 700,000K. If you want maximum square footage and newer construction, Summerville still gives you the most house. If you want Charleston County and proximity, West Ashley, James Island, and Mount Pleasant are absolutely in play. But at this tier, you're not buying a house. You're buying zip code. You're buying school district. You're buying commute time. And that is where strategy matters. Let me break down the trade-off triangle that every buyer moving to Charleston in this market has to face. Location, size, amenities. You generally get to prioritize two out of the three. If you choose location, meaning close to downtown Charleston, the beaches, or Mount Pleasant, you're going to sacrifice square footage at every budget tier, period. The Holy City is a premium address, and that premium is real. If you prioritize size, four bedrooms, three baths, a two-car garage, and a backyard, you are almost certainly heading towards Summerville, North Charleston, or the outer Berkeley County growth corridor. And honestly, a lot of my clients end up loving that choice once they get there. Strong schools, newer infrastructure, and brand new everything. If amenities are your thing, resort pools, clubhouses, fitness centers, walking trails, top rated schools, smart home features, Somerville's master plan communities like Nexton and Cane Bay deliver consistently across the price tiers we've talked about today. They were designed for lifestyle. The magic formula: know your non negotiables before you start looking. I always ask my clients, what are your top three must haves? The clarity changes everything. Now we need to have a real talk about what I call the hidden costs of the Holy City: taxes and insurance, because these costs are not optional and they are absolutely important for you to understand because they will impact how much house you can afford. South Carolina property taxes are generally favorable compared to most Northeast and West Coast states. If this will be your primary residence, you'll qualify for the 4% assessment ratio under the primary residence exemption, which can provide meaningful savings compared to second home or investment property rates. But here's what catches people off guard: insurance. In the Charleston area region, homeowners insurance commonly falls in the $3,000 to $4,000 range annually, and that can vary significantly depending on age of roof, elevation, construction type, and carrier. Flood insurance is separate. Standard homeowners insurance does not cover flooding. If a home sits in a FEMA Zone AE, which includes parts of West Ashley, sections of James Island, and some other areas near waterways, flood premiums can add another thousand to several $1,000s annually, depending on elevation and documentation. Coastal high risk areas can be higher. Zone X properties, which include many parts of Summerville and elevated areas of Mount Pleasant, often have optional flood coverage and lower risk profiles. The point is this: Before you fall in love with the kitchen or the backyard, have the flood zone pulled and get an insurance quote. That number needs to be part of your monthly math, not a surprise at closing. Let's close the loop on what the 2026 market actually means for you. The good news: the frenzied buyer environment of 2021 and 2022 has cooled. Buyers have more breathing room than they've had in years. Days on market are generally longer than peak pandemic levels, and negotiation opportunities are back on the table in many areas. The reality: desirable neighborhoods still move quickly when priced correctly. Inventory is healthier than it was, but it's not overflowing. Mortgage rates have been hovering in the mid to high 6% range recently, so your monthly payment math matters. And here's what hasn't changed: your budget determines your neighborhood. At 400K, 500K, and 700K, there are generally strong homes and generally strong communities. The key is aligning your expectations with the market you're stepping into. All right, here is the thing I really need you to hear. In Charleston, the zip code is the investment, not just emotionally, financially. School districts, flood zones, infrastructure improvements, growth corridors, community quality, those factors drive long term stability and resale power. Every year, I see buyers stretch for the right location and thank themselves later. And I see buyers prioritize square footage in the wrong pocket and wish they had shifted their energy. In a steady appreciation environment, buying smart in the right submarket matters more than squeezing every dollar out of your purchase price. This is not just about buying a house, it's about buying position. Now, if you are seriously considering a move to Charleston or Summerville, grab my free 2026 Charleston and Summerville relocation guide. It walks through neighborhoods, schools, cost of living, and how to navigate this market without making expensive mistakes. If today's breakdown helped you, hit subscribe. I post new videos every week breaking down exactly what it's like to live here: the good, the trade off, and the real numbers. And if you're ready for straight, no chaser advice about your move, call or text me at 843-532-0330. I actually answer my phone. And if you want more information on why folks are moving to Summerville, check out my other video. It's around here somewhere. And I'll see you next week. Welcome to the Lowcountry.